This old Mercedes is beautiful, but the repair bill sure isn't going to be. Let's find out what broke on this thing. Let's get started. This is a 1992 Mercedes-Benz 300E. It is the W124 chassis, and it is in excellent shape. I keep staring at this thing, Mrs. Wizard. I can't get any work done.
It is absolutely beautiful. I love this era of Mercedes.
It is wonderful. It is kind of small on the inside. I'm a big guy, but man, it's just nice to look at. Let's take a look around this thing and find out what's wrong. It's kind of disastrous. It's not the end of the world, but it isn't going to be cheap. Isn't that beautiful, Mrs. Wizard?
It is just a beautiful front end.
Got the little TriStar on front. This is back when they built these things to last, and they built them elegantly, and it truly was a set-apart special car. It wasn't like your run-of-the-mill, common everyday Chevy. These are the days of 15-inch wheels, and you can see that the cladding on the bottom is just a little bit different color than the rest of the car. I don't know if that's intentional or not. You can see it is the 300E, and let's take a quick look inside the trunk. Even the trunk is nice, guys. All the carpeting and padding and everything is intact. Very, very, very nice. And down this side, this is the era when you drive by in one of these, people know that's a Mercedes-Benz. They don't confuse it with a Kia or a Hyundai. Like modern cars today, you can't hardly tell what they are anymore. Let's go ahead and get the hood open. So I'll go ahead and pull its tongue here. Here's our 3-liter inline 6. It's actually 2.962, some strange number, but no V8, no V6 here. This is back in the day when Mercedes were still using inline 6s. You can see it does have the distributor. This is still the era of mechanical ignition as far as moving components. It's mounted directly to the front of the cylinder head there. But we have some bad news with the engine we'll talk about here in a minute. It'll be very easy to work on, as you saw on this side especially. There's plenty of room to get to everything. You can get to the front pretty easy right here. And once you remove this air cleaner, you can get to the intake and get everything taken care of. Right here we can see old school ABS. Most American cars weren't even doing ABS in 1992. A few were here or there. Mercedes was doing this back in the 80s. And maybe even sooner than that. You guys can let me know in the comments. But one thing, when I look at hoses and lines and things, I can tell it's been taken care of and the car's been respected. Take a look in this area. You can see nothing's been hacked. No hack jobs have been done. You don't see clear tubing or something like that. Oh, that broke. I'll just throw some fishing line on it or who knows what. Everything's intact and it's as it was when it left the factory. It's in really, really good shape. And if you were paying attention, you saw on the brake booster the Mercedes symbol, but right next to it, Lucas. Yes, Lucas Brakes. That brake booster is made by Lucas.
You mean he wasn't just the Prince of Darkness?
It was that Lucas, Mrs. Wizard, the Prince of Darkness Lucas. Yep. Anyways, there's not a whole lot going on that you can see in the engine bay, but there is going to be something I'm going to show you that you will see, and when you do see it, you can't unsee it. But before we dive into that, take a look at the interior, guys, in Mrs. Wizard's interior review. It's so elegant. I wish they made cars like this again. I would pay a premium instead of this plastic chintzy crap that they have now. This thing is nice. Take it away, Mrs. Wizard.
Be ready to be absolutely shocked with this interior. It has 89,234 miles, and I absolutely love Mercedes of this era. My grandpa had several of this time period, and oh, I loved riding in the car with him. But here, easy classic gauge cluster from Mercedes. So move up. Okay, we've got one modern amenity added to here. They have suction cupped a phone holder there to modernize this just a little bit. But dash, look at that. I have seen these where you can see the yellow foam coming out. Nothing. Look at that wood trim underneath that release for the glove box. And look at this wood trim. So many of these are cracked and curled and just looking absolutely gross. Love this radio with all the buttons galore on there. We have the ashtray currently out, but look at that. It goes back in and holds. We've got our gated automatic gear selector right there. Then we have our buttons for the window controls, our classic Mercedes key. Got a little carpeted area here. Have an armrest, which opens up, and look at that. Nothing is going on in there. It is absolutely clean. I don't know why Mercedes people have done this. My grandpa actually had sheepskin on one of his and actually had beads, wooden beads on one of his cars as well. I'm not sure why that is such a common thing to do with kind of this 90s era European car, but nonetheless, here we got some sheepskin, and you can look up under there a little bit. It does look good. It's just kind of elasticed onto there, but looking nice. The rest of the seat is in really nice condition. Love that ivory coloring going on. Have more wood trim on that door card. But again, look at that. Not even really marking or anything on the door handle. Back seat, yes, there are headrests back there. Look back there. There's the headrest there laying down there going to sleep. But look, it doesn't look like anybody's even really sat back there. Ever. Headliner, another case of looking great. Nothing going on up there. And we're back to our steering wheel, and we have embossed in there the Mercedes symbol here. It doesn't have the metal version, but it still looks really nice and fabulous. No buttons, nothing like that, because that didn't exist in 92. So enough of this interior talk. Let's get this up in the air and see what it looks like on the underneath.
So here we have a plastic shield underneath. We don't see it coated in coolant or anything leaking from the radiator. But as we move inwards, you can see that our oil pan kind of goes underneath that plastic shield, and there's a little bit, tiny bit of a seepage there, maybe an oil leak or something. Let's take a look. I do see that the steering gearbox has the tiniest little bit of seepage coming out of the shaft, and it's dripping down to here. So we'll let the customer know about that. The brakes are about 70% remaining. The shock is not blown. It's a new Bilstein, or fairly new. Nothing loose there. Brake pads are good. Strut is good. Sway bar doesn't have a sway bar link. You can see right here that the sway bar itself bolts directly into the control arm, and nothing's loose there or here. So that's all good. Here's our transmission. Everything looks nice and dry, but if it hasn't been serviced, we're at the 90,000 mile mark. I would definitely recommend doing a service on this one. As we move back, we can see it has dual exhaust, even though it's an inline 6, and it stays dual all the way back to the muffler, and it goes back into one. So as we look at this flex disc on the back, I can tell right away that it's bad. You can see that the rubber is tearing away from the bolts, and if I move this, which I can't get my hand in the way without blocking the camera, Mrs. Wizard might be able to get it there. There we go. You can see it's pretty loose. And as we move back on the drive shaft, we'll check the rear flex disc. And it's just really hard rubber. I'll definitely recommend doing that one as well. It's not cracked or broken yet, but the rubber is not pliable anymore. It's like a plastic disc now. We can see again our exhaust goes into one from here back into another muffler. And here our differential is dry. The CV boot is not cracked or broken or anything. The rear shock is not blown. Our CV boot here is in good shape, and our sway bar link is also good. Nothing loose there. Brake pads are about 60 to 70%. Sway bar link is good. Shock is good. Nothing leaking, nothing loose. And the CV boots are also in good shape. So we need some flex discs and a few small leaks addressed, but nothing underneath the car is majorly wrong, nothing serious going on. Let's go ahead and check those tires though. So here's one of the troubles with vintage cars, classic cars, old cars, antiques, anything like that. Tires can get aged out, even though you haven't driven it that much. Take a look. 39th week of 2017. Those are 9 years old, going on 10 soon before you know it. Also, I'll show you the other side of the tire. There's some weather checking and some cracking going on. It's really tiny, you can't hardly see it, but right through here it's got some cracking going on just from age. So it is definitely time for new tires. We'll let the customer know. Due to age, it may not be safe to keep going on those tires. So let's get this thing on the ground and talk about the big ticket item that's wrong with this car, and it's so sad. So the customer brought this in with some concerns that it runs a little rough on cold start, and they went to add some antifreeze and they saw that something's not right in there and it's not good. Let's take a look. First off, on the reservoir, we can see that it's coated in slime. It looks like white grease coated the entire reservoir. And when we take the cap off, ugh.
Oh no.
That's just an oil slick. It's like Exxon Valdez in there, guys. Terrible. We also have removed some spark plugs and put the Techlong camera in there, and there's just the tiniest bit of antifreeze in there. It's not enough to hydrolock it or something, but it's enough to make it run rough in the mornings when it's cold. The head gasket is on its way out. In fact, it's failed as far as oil getting into coolant, and it's starting to fail as far as getting into the cylinders. It's time for a new head gasket. Let's talk about that. First thing we can see is it's an inline 6. It has a massive cylinder head on it. Because it's so long, any kind of slight overheat, which I don't know if it's been overheated or not, but it's easy for these to get warped and then not seal very well. So once the cylinder head comes off, it will be going to a machine shop to verify flatness. So I wrote up the estimate on this and got the book time. It's right at 17 hours. And then you got to get the cylinder head off to a machine shop and make sure it's flat. If not, be resurfaced. And then there's head gaskets, head bolt, all kinds of different parts and things to this. When I tallied it up, it's going to run somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000 to do the head gasket on this. Most of that being labor. Actually, half of it being labor. We're also going to do distributor cap, rotor, plugs, wires, belt, coolant flush, a whole bunch of things. A 200 here, 500 there. It adds up fast. That's where we get to the $4,000 to $5,000 mark. The customer does have some other complaints with the transmission shifting a little rough and a few other small things. We did inform him we're not going to dive into that until we get this solved, because I don't want to go driving it down the road with a blown head gasket trying to see what's going on with the transmission. So we're going to see what the customer says, how far they want to go. They're going to let us know. But as far as fixing cars in situations like this, most mechanic shops don't do it all. They're not a machine shop and a transmission shop and a tire shop and a this and a that, all in one. There's a common misconception that an independent mechanic shop does everything in-house, when in fact, most mechanic shops do just the labor and the repairs of the car. But machine shop type things, there's a reason why machine shops even exist for automotive repairs. It's because the independent shop doesn't do that work. There's also a reason why a transmission shop exists. A transmission shop wouldn't exist if everybody was rebuilding them in-house. We don't. Because it takes a whole new set of tools and knowledge and things that people that focus only on the transmission, that's all they do. So you'd have to take it out, take that to a shop. It's very common to have multiple players in the game to get a job completed. It's kind of like teamwork. I do this, you do that, and together we'll have a finished job of a happy customer with it being repaired and ready for the road again. So it's kind of like having an issue with your house. You have some plumbing issues and you call the plumber out and you say, oh, by the way, my lights have some electrical issues. He says, well, I don't do that. I do plumbing. Well, you fix houses. Why don't you do it all? There's certain people that do certain things with the same object, a house. The same story with a car. One mechanic doesn't rebuild the whole car and fix everything. They do their part, another shop does their part, another shop does their part. Just kind of explaining it to you guys so you kind of know how it works. But we're waiting to hear back from the customer to see what they would like to do. They're going to let us know. Is it worth it? I say yes. I talked to Tyler Hoover from Hoovie's Garage. I said, what do you think this car is worth, Hoovie? And he said, easily $10,000, maybe as much as $15,000. And it's going to go up from there as time goes on, way up. You can't buy a car like this today. You can't. He said, well, a Rolls Royce is blah, blah, blah. A Rolls Royce doesn't give me goosebumps like this thing does. It's just something about the craftsmanship, the way that they made cars back then. You sit in it, and I sat in it earlier today, and I just nodded. It's like, yeah, they got it right. This is a car. They knew what they were doing. This car is absolutely worth fixing. I wouldn't even bat an eye at $5,000. If it got to be that high, I'd say do it. Because you can't go buy something like this again, and it drives so good when they're fixed up. Do you guys know that meme that's on the internet? It's Robert Redford from the movie Jeremiah Johnson, and he's just going, you guys have probably seen it. That's what I was doing in this car. It's that good. It's just that good. I love this car. So again, I wanted to get a video out to you guys to show you It's sad. I really hate that this has a blown head gasket. It's definitely worth fixing. I would do it if it was mine. And man, this car is so nice. I definitely wanted to share it with you guys. It's been a long time since I've seen a 124 chassis that is this nice. Everything on it is really good. So if you're curious what kind of tools we're going to use possibly to work on this 300E or any other car in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. A lot of the tools we use in the shop are really used every day, are for sale there, and if you purchase any of them, we get a small cut and really appreciate it. Make sure to hit the subscribe button while you're there because there's so many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.